I participated in propaganda. Now, it's easy to feel like propaganda is really cool from an outside perspective when you're not really affected much, you're not really participating much, just sort of viewing it academically. You know, we've all seen really cool edits on Instagram that get you all hyped up about something, or you see like an old Russian Soviet poster and it's got like a big buff guy on it and you're just like, hell yeah, you know. But the reality is, it's when you've been the one propagandizing others, it really sits with you. It really weighs on you. And you kind of realize just how evil it is. So let me kind of set up what happened. 2 months ago, I released a video called Stop. I don't really remember what it was called, but it was called something like Stop Teaching Reading, in which I presented a very compelling case for stopping teaching reading to kids and that the literacy rates should be 0. I think that's what the title was. And I know people really trust this channel, trust me as a filmmaker to be bringing a sort of intellectual honesty, you know, challenging and subversive and really like disrupting systems. That's what people expect from me. But they do expect that with a degree of honesty, that when I present a compelling intellectual argument, I'm doing so because I'm convicted of those intellectual tenets, not because I have an ulterior motive. And the thing is, with that video, I had an ulterior motive. So I'm sure if you've seen some of my other videos, you know that I'm a dad. I've mentioned that before. And being a father, you know, your kid is just like the most important thing ever. You would do anything for him, and including making propaganda. So here's the thing. My daughter is, you know, she's like 1. She'll be going into the school system in a couple years. Or maybe we'll homeschool her. Who knows, you know. But she'll be reaching the point where she'll need to learn to read. And let me tell you, it is a dog-eat-dog world out there. All right, everybody is, you know, doing what it takes to get ahead, you know, and it's really hard to stand out. Other parents are going to be pumping their kids full of amphetamines. They're going to be, you know, genetically enhancing their kids. They're going to be putting them in extracurricular reading activities, you know. If they've got more money, they're going to send them to a nicer school. And then in 30 years, when my daughter's trying to get a job, you know, she could be behind everybody else. You know, I'm not super rich because nobody watches my videos. You know, and I don't have any reason to believe that she's not like pretty smart. You know, she hits, you know, whatever developmental markers. But at first I was excited that she might be a super genius because at the doctors, they measured the size of the kids' heads. And at the start, she was at like a 90% size of head. And so I was like, Doc, that means, you know, she's going to have a genius IQ, right? And the doc said, just kind of like laughed nervously, and did not tell me if that would mean she has a good IQ or not. But now recently we've been going to the doctor, and now her head is measuring in the 60 percentile. So it shrank 30%. So it seems like she's not going to be a super genius anymore. And even if she's pretty smart, like all these other kids will, there'll be all kinds of advantages, and she'll still be up against the kids who are super geniuses. So what I was kind of hoping would happen is that people would stop teaching reading to kids, and then I would keep teaching my daughter how to read, and then she would be way ahead of everybody. So that was my scheme. But here's the thing. I'm kind of torn because I watched that video in preparation for this one, and the arguments are like pretty good. So I'm not going to take that video down. And like I was planning to do some sort of like, I don't know, some sort of like public penance, maybe I would, I don't know, I would donate to the book charity or something, or I would at the very least publicly retract my statements. But then I was thinking about all the statements I made, and I think that they are actually true. But I am still going to teach my daughter to read, just in case. That can help her get ahead. So I guess what I'm saying is I did make propaganda, and I do feel bad that I was dishonest about it. But I'm not really dishonest about it anymore, because now I'm saying that I was creating it for my own personal gain. But now I'm saying I actually believe in those things, so it is an honest intellectual argument. So what I'm saying is, please buy into my propaganda.